Hello, this is Watch It All About with another watch review. This time we're looking at the Lew Huey Acionna, which is one of their newer models, which again was funded via Kickstarter, which obviously many new companies tend to do because it allows them to get a lot of funding before building the great majority of the watches they need to send out. So they've sent it through the three different versions, three colours: white dial, black dial and the blue dial, and as you can see they all offer something different, various degrees in smartness I feel. For instance, the white dial is very dressy, and then next in line is the black dial, and then I personally feel that the blue dial is probably the least dressy, but they all have ties with the diver watches, because the name Acionna was actually a mythical Gallo-Roman water goddess. So obviously we can see their link to water and being a dive watch. So before we look at the watches, I thought it was quite interesting to have a look at the package it comes in, because it's quite unusual and I really liked it. So it comes in this leather box and you slide it, and the watch is in there, and you can keep your spare straps in there as well, as we can see, and also you get the tool to change the watches as well. But it's proved to be a very handy travel box. I've taken it on holiday with me and it keeps the watches incredibly safe in here, and it's just really well made. So I thought that was really interesting and neat feature to include, much better than a normal watch box, because to be honest, I just lob my watch boxes in the attic anyway and never see them again. Whereas this one, I actually have some use for. So that was quite interesting to point out. So let's get the three watches side by side. So the price is $600 currently, which works out about £353. Now, obviously, that is a reasonable amount for an affordable watch, but you do get a lot of watch for the money. It's all very well made, high spec as well. For instance, you have sapphire crystal on the top and also on the case back. You get both straps, both the stainless steel strap and the brown leather strap for that price. And also, as I mentioned before, you get the little tool which helps you change the straps as well. It's got a Miyota 9015 movement, which is a high beat movement. It runs at 28.8 thousand beats per hour, which means that it ticks at 8 ticks per second. It's a lovely and smooth movement as well, and you know that with this movement, it's a workhorse, and it's not going to go wrong very often, and it's going to do you well for a very long time. As you can see there, it's not the most beautiful movement, but it does its job well, and I feel that it matches this overall style quite well. Other specs of the movement are it has hand wind capabilities, it has a hack in second, and of course it's an automatic. So looking at the case itself, on the pictures I initially thought it was going to be actually really big, but it's only 40mm in diameter. So on the wrist it's not actually too bad. It's 12mm thick, so again, reasonable height, not too overbearing, and the lug to lug length is 48mm, so it is quite long when you compare it with the diameter, mainly because the lugs are quite a key feature of the design, which I personally quite like. Let me just show you it on the strap. So the lug width is 20mm, so you can get any standard leather strap to fit it, which is nice, but the leather strap that comes with it is actually really high quality. I don't think you would need to change it at all. It's really nicely finished, it feels good, really comfortable to wear as well, and the clasp is really high quality. The butterfly deployment section is actually a lot wider than a lot of deployment clasps, so it's quite comfortable on the wrist, if if I show you the underneath, see this section here is a bit wider than normal, so you barely notice it's there, and it's really smooth underneath, so it's really comfortable to wear, so that's always good. The butterfly deployment clasp is really well made as well. It's all polished, really well finished. The only concern I have is the Lew Huey Acionna just here. It could be a little bit deeper, I think, and it doesn't look quite in the centre. As you can see, it looks like it's slightly over to the right, but apart from that, it is a really wonderful strap, and I don't think it's one that will need to be changed at all. If we have a look at the stainless steel bracelet, again, really well finished. The links are all well machined, and very, very comfortable. It's very soft on the underside, very well machined in this respect as well. Brushed stainless steel, so when you have it on your wrist, it's very, very comfortable to wear, and it doesn't catch any hairs, which is always good. The impressive feature is this massive solid end link, which is really, really well made. Fits the case perfectly, both of them do. So it's almost seamless when you're looking at it and when you're feeling it. And then obviously it's a gradual angle into the normal 20mm width at the buckle. So the links are normal pin, standard pins, so you have to have a special tool to be able to change it rather than a screw pin. And the links are all brushed apart from on the top, apart from these two strips down either side of the center section, which are polished. So that's gives it a nice bit of contrast, which is always nice to see. The buckle itself is very secure, double locking, so you have first lock there, and then the second lock where you flap the top over. It reminds me almost like a Seiko Monster clasp, which is always quite reassuring to see, but it's proved very reliable and again very comfortable, and it has the Lew and Huey text etched on the flip over lock as well. So that's very good. Both the strap and the bracelet are really, really good. Now, thinking about the weight, actually, with the bracelet, the weight of the watch is 147 grams, so it is a very, very heavy watch. It does feel good on the wrist, and on the leather strap, it's 99 grams. So the bracelet does make quite a lot of difference, almost 50 grams, but obviously the head is pretty weighty, mainly because of this impressively machined case. So if we think about the case for a moment, firstly you'll notice, linking it back to the straps, that we have through lugs. So if I can get in focus, there we go. So this is where the tool comes in handy. So you can unscrew the lugs there, and then that means it's really easy, simple, quick and easy to change the straps, and also a lot safer, so you don't damage the lugs, because usually with a strap removal tool you'll have to get underneath and try and prise out the pins that way, whereas this way you just unscrew the screws either side, pull it out, this comes straight off, and then you can put the other strap straight on, push the pin back through, and then screw it to the other side. So that's really handy, really quick, and a great feature of this watch. So that's good. The case in general is immaculately machined. You'll notice that it's all brushed. Sorry, apart from on the top, the bezel is polished, and the polished finishing is really, really good as well. Almost like a mirror finish, so that's really impressive. And then if we have a look at the back, the entire back is actually polished as well, so that's nice. It keeps the dressy feel of the watch, even though it is classing itself as a diver's watch, really. We have the two crowns either side. I really like two crowns. I think it looks a little bit unusual. If I just swap now, I like to give you an equal amount of viewing time for each colour. So we haven't quite got rid of the blue sticker on that crown yet. So the top crown controls the internal bezel. It feels really good to use, and it's nice and easy to rotate. Bottom crown is a screw-in crown for the movement, so you unscrew it like so, and then you can put it out, and then you can obviously change your time and date, and also wind the movement that way. But we'll have a closer look at that later when I get the macro lens out. So the crowns are polished, and they have this nice knurled feel to them, which offers really good grip. Because they're at quite an angle, it can be a little bit difficult to get a decent grip on them, but because of this excellent finishing and grip here, it makes life a lot easier, which is good. I found instead of doing it that way, it's better to actually do it sideways. If I can get in focus again, there we go. To do it sideways like that rather than like that. But anyway, okay. So moving to the case back. A good thing about the case back is the fact that it's sapphire crystal, first of all, which is quite unusual. Usually it's mineral because, you know, there's not much chance of it being damaged or anything like that. But it's nice to see that, you know, Lew and Huey haven't skimped out on any of the good features. So that's reassuring to see. It's a screw-in case back. As you can see, these little gaps where you put your tool in to unscrew it. And because of the fact that this is screw-in and also the screw-in crown, it's got a water resistance of 200 meters or 20 ATM. So that means you can go snorkeling and swimming with it, which is always good, especially being that it is aiming to be a diver's watch. So around the edging, we have the details of the watch. Now, this is quite an interesting way of doing things. The text is actually raised on this brushed finish, so that's actually really nice to see. I can feel the text now, and the text is polished on top of this brush finish. So it's really quite impressive, actually. It looks good, and must have taken a lot of effort to make. So it's nice to see that as well. But again, we'll look at that closer with the macro lens. So the watch itself, personally, I really like it. The dial is you know, quite unique. The different colours all really stand out, and I think they all look really good, especially in the flesh. It's nice when you rotate them. This like outer circle reflects the light nicely because it has a concentric circular patting on it, which is really good. So let's just have a closer look at the dial. All of the applied hour markers and numerals are really, really good. Perfectly machined, perfectly applied. They've all got loomed centres with polished stainless steel surrounds. Tell you what, I haven't worn this one for a little while, so let me just wind it up so it's moving. There we go. Okay, just pop that back in now. Okay. So the hour markers are almost three-dimensional. They're little raised buttons. We can look at them closer with the macro lens, but they're really well made, especially when you look at them close up. And I really like the date window as well. It's again a stainless steel border around it. So all these stainless steel features, including the hands, are all stainless steel. When the light hits it just right, it really does make the dial pop and looks really nice. If I can try and find some a light source to try and reflect them. Can't seem to be able to do that. There we go, sort of. Another thing I forgot to mention actually is the anti-reflective coating on this top sapphire crystal is really, really good. The clarity is exceptional. You can look at it at any angle. Obviously it's very flat as well, but you can look at it at any angle like that, and it offers really good visibility. And because of the deep dial, due to this excellent the internal bezel, it's really impressive. It looks excellent, and I really like it. So looking back at the dial, as I mentioned, this outer circle has a concentric circular pattern, which you can only just see, and then the center circle is just a matte finish, obviously different colors depending on each dial, and then the internal bezel has a triangle at 60 with a lume pip. What I've been using this a lot actually as a stopwatch. So you set the internal bezel to the minute of when you want to start, and then as time progresses, so say I've started it at 4 minutes to 6, and then as time progresses, say I want to check how long time has progressed at 20 to 7. So the time is now 20 to 7. I can now see that the stopwatch has been going for 44 minutes. So I've actually used this much more than I would use a normal external bezel, mainly because the excellent markings dotted around, because usually with an external bezel it hasn't got the numbers all the way around, just vague dashes or marks, so it's not really accurate. But with this it's actually really handy and really helpful, and I've used it a lot. So if you were to go for this watch, I would recommend that you do the same. The lume is excellent on this watch. It's so strong, charges immensely quickly, and it lasts a very long time. You notice it just from walking outside, and then you come back inside and you'll notice it glowing really brightly. You'll see some pictures on my review, but also on the Lew Huey Kickstarter page there's some really good lume pictures of it, and it's really quite impressive. The numerals, all of the hour markers, and the hands, including this tip here on the second hand, they're all lumed, and the pip on the internal bezel. So it really does provide great visibility in the dark, which is good. And it's always reassuring to see good quality lume, because it really gives you a sense of a high quality watch when you see it. So that's really really good. Okay, so let me get the macro lens on, and we'll have a look at it. Have a look at the watches in closer detail. So I'll just start with the leather strap. So you'll notice the stitching is all very good, and the quality of the finish is excellent as well, and the underneath is very soft. You can just tell it's soft just by looking at it, really. And then if we look at the deployment clasp, these are the little catches. It's the polished finishing, and then this is the top. I just wipe that. This is the top with the etching. Again, personally, I probably would have preferred it to be a little bit deeper, but never mind. I do quite like the shape of this, actually. It has this little bulge at the top rather than just being a straight, flat bar. So that's always nice to see. Obviously, being polished, it does pick up a few scratches, as you saw then. So let's move on to the case back. This is what I was mentioning earlier. The details, the writing is on a higher level than the background, and the writing is polished. And the background it's on is all brushed, which is really impressive to see. And if we have a look at the movement as well. There's a Miyota 9015 reference. As you'd expect, everything looks pretty good in there. So moving on to the case itself, here's one of the lug screw pins, and then the finishing of the case itself. That brushing is all very impressive, very uniform and decent quality. And then if we have a look at polished finish around the bezel, this watch has been worn for a little while, so there are a few tiny marks, but in general it's still very well finished. Okay, so if we move over to the crowns, the top crown is just polished with nothing on the end. And then we see that excellent grip, which is really impressively machined considering the size of it. Gives you really good grip, so that's good. And then if we move to the bottom, you can see there's still a tiny bit of the blue sticker left in the dog's teeth. I have to try and get that out, but this icon is really well machined, really deep and really accurate as well. Considering the size of it, it's really quite impressive. So that's nice to see, and we have the same grip as we saw on the top crown. If I just unscrew it and pull it out. So that's what it looks like pulled out. So the thread is really good, high quality and well machined, so you know you're not going to cross thread it too easily, so that's good. Okay, let me pick up another watch and we can have a look at the bracelet. So here's an example of one of the links. So we see it's all brushed apart from those two channels either side of the center section, which are polished. Again, immaculately machined. If we look at the side as well, that's brushed as well. And you can see one of the pins just here. And the underside, again, very nicely done. So just looking at the end lug, the end link, sorry. Pretty much spot on in connection with the case. You see here the angle. All these little angles are all very impressive because the case is so unique. It's nice to see how well it's made. They certainly haven't spared any efforts in making sure it's finished to the best way possible. So there's the date window. You'll notice there's a orange dash on the blue dial. So on the blue dial it is orange, the tip there, and also the 5-minute hour markers on the running track. On the other two watches, the white and the black dial, that's actually red. I assume they decided this because it was for design purposes really. The orange must have looked better than the red. There's the Lew and Huey logo. Now personally I'm not a massive fan of the logo, so I really like the way they've calmed it quite down on the Acionna. So it doesn't stand out quite as much and it keeps the watch looking really smart. So that's always nice. The printing on the dial, as you can see, is pretty good. And the hands are very well machined, polished stainless steel with a loomed center. And there's the concentric circle pattern. So that's the blue dial. Let me just show you the black dial now.
So let's have a look at the the numerals on this one. You can see that they are very well machined, perfectly made, which is good. And here's the red instead of the orange, and this border is red as well, whereas on the blue this border just here in between the two sections running around that's red on both the black and the white, whereas white, it's red on the black and white dials, whereas it's white on the blue dial. And then finally let's have a look at the white dial, and if we just look at the hour markers on this one, so you see that they are three-dimensional, really well made with loomed centers, so they're a really nice feature of the dial. I love them. I think they look great. And then here's the I'll show you there you go, the loom pip, nice and round. Okay, so do I like the Acionna? Well, yes I do, especially being that it's £350. I do think you're getting a lot of watch for the money, especially being that you're getting two straps. You know, that's a nice little feature to have. Everything is exceptionally well made on it, as you'd expect on a watch of this price. The specs are high, and it's just a great company to buy from. Chris Vale is a really nice guy. He's doing a lot for the affordable watch community, especially on What You Seek in the affordable section. So obviously it's great to support him and help him along the way. He's got a few more designs in the woodwork, so hopefully they'll be coming out soon. But I do think that this is a really well designed and really well made watch, and I think it's, you know, something that will suit everyone. I personally really like the retro style of the case because the shape is quite retro with these massive shoulders on the lugs, which obviously is in at the moment. A lot of watch manufacturers are creating reissues of retro and classic watches, so I think this matches a trend like that. So I think there'll be plenty of people interested in design. So from a physical standpoint, they are very well made, and I would really recommend one if you like the design and willing to spend the money. Okay, so this is the Lew Huey Acionna, and that was what it's all about.